Welcome to my review of The Witness by Jonathan Blow. Now, The Witness is sort of an indie game. I mean, Jonathan is quite actually well known for making Braid, another really successful game. I really enjoyed that. It's sort of a platformer, time control game. The Witness is a much more ambitious game. After finishing Braid, Jonathan sort of took a bit of time out and did some sort of work on different concepts for games, and he ended up settling on the concept for The Witness. It's quite ambitious. Well, him and his team actually created their own game engine to create The Witness. I think it was like $6 million or something was spent making the game. It actually put Jonathan into debt. He actually reinvested all the money from Braid to make The Witness, and then he had to borrow money as well. The development obviously got a bit out of control, took a lot longer than he expected, but he wanted to do justice to his original vision, and he certainly did do that. It's not a massive game, but you do have a whole island to explore, and this island is full of puzzles. It is a single player game. This is like a solo experience, and when you're on this island, it's really kind of spooky. There's really anyone around. It's very atmospheric, like the sound effects are excellent, and you just walk around at your free will, really. You can go where you want. It's sort of got an open world feel to it. There are certain areas that you have to gain access to, but you don't really feel penned in. So you've got that freedom just to roam around, take it all in. This is a game for people that want to think about what they're doing. Like, this is a game for people that want to be really engaged, to use their brain, and you have to be quite patient with this game. You have to be quite observant as well. But if you're that sort of person, then you're really going to get so much out of this game, because it really does reward you for that persistence and that patience. The game really doesn't explain the story to you, like why you're there. You've got to wake up on this island. The real thrust of the game really is really to get you to learn a sort of visual language. Now, you might think, well, that sounds like a bit of a chore. It's not at all. It's done in such a natural way. As soon as you start the game, you'll find these panels, and these panels are the actual sort of puzzles, and the panels are connected by cables, and when you complete a puzzle, a cable lights up and you can follow that cable to the next puzzle. And the first few puzzles are very simple. Even just operating a lift, you still need to interact with a simple puzzle just to do that. There's no leaves and switches. It's all done via these panels. Well, not all of it. There's more to it than that. There's another sort of, I won't go into that at the moment, but there are some black monoliths around as well that's a bit different. But the way it works is there are sort of shapes on the panels, and you have to learn what these shapes signify, what they mean. And by doing simpler puzzles, you actually learn how to do the more complex puzzles. So you might be presented with some very simple puzzles initially, and then you've come across a more seemingly complex one with lots of shapes on it that you may not have encountered before. And you soon realise, well, I can't actually do this, so I need to go off somewhere else. At the start, in the immediate location of a more complex puzzle, there's a lot of simpler puzzles, and they gradually build up your knowledge, and then you get to the point where you think, oh, I can go back and do that other puzzle now. And this teaches you that you do have to build up your knowledge. You can't necessarily tackle everything when you first encounter it, and it's okay to walk away and come back to things. And because you can just walk around on the island and explore, if there's a puzzle that's a bit tricky, you're not really getting it, you can just go off somewhere else and do something else and come back to it. And you do find that you get little moments where you're walking around doing something else and you think, oh, wait a minute, I know what I could try. And then you go back to the other area and try it. But there isn't really a lot of backtracking. Like, you don't have to go from one end of the island to the other end to sort of find the information you need. It's done in such a way that in the local vicinity, there's normally the information you need to figure out how to do a particular puzzle. There isn't a lot of repetition. The puzzles will constantly be building on the knowledge that you've acquired, building up that visual language, and you get really invested in it. As you're learning all this stuff, you're going to think, I need to carry on because I don't want to forget what I've learned. Now, when you actually complete a section of puzzles in each region, these laser beams appear and they sort of fire off to the center of the island where there's this big mountain. Obviously, once you've lit all the lasers, something will happen. I won't go into it, but you know, there's going to be more puzzles. Now, it is really kind of chilled and zen-like when you're walking around on this island. It can be a bit spooky sometimes. Like sometimes I would think I caught movement in the corner of my eye, and is there someone else in this island? It's quite unsettling. Now, there are some nice visual surprises on the island. As I said, if you just pay attention to what's going on around you, the way they play with perspective, the way things sometimes line up, you see things and you think, oh, that's cool. It's not necessarily a puzzle or anything. It's just some cool little visual treats as you walk around. Now, as I mentioned before, there are these black monoliths. Now, I won't spoil what they're about. They kind of make a humming noise when you go near to them. But they do offer a kind of another layer to the game. So it's not just about those panels that you come across. There is the whole island. It's sort of a puzzle. Well, yeah, I'll let you find that for yourself. Now, to add another layer of interest, some of the puzzles are actually broken. There's actually a puzzle that you walk on and one of the panels is broken. So that adds another layer of complexity, and that's really cool that it kind of brings into play like time. Like, this is a real place. It's actually decaying, things are breaking, and you have to work around that. In fact, you realise that Jonathan Blow has put so much time and effort, how it all comes together, the island, how it all interrelates. It's not surprising to me that this game took so long to make. Now, you may be thinking, I'm not really that into puzzle games, I'm not really sure if I'm going to like it. I've played a few puzzle games and this is one of the very best. And it's kind of pushing the boundaries of visual interactive entertainment, and it does make you realise that games can be so much more than just running around shooting people or shooting monsters or aliens. They can communicate with you on a more intellectual level, and it does make you quite excited to think what else, what other ideas people can come up with. Now, the game engine does struggle at times. Like, there's quite a lot of geometry going on, and as I say, it is kind of an open world. This island is sort of persistent. There's no little loading times between areas. You can just walk from one area to the next. And sometimes, if there's a lot of geometry, the engine can stutter a bit. But because of the nature of the game, it isn't really a big issue. But I thought I should mention it. It's been a bit nitpicky, but it's a sort of a minor blemish on an otherwise top-notch production. Now, the game does look beautiful. It's kind of cartoon-like. There isn't a lot of texture. It's more about the colours. But the different regions of the island are very distinct. It is a place that you're just quite happy just to hang out and just chill out in. And I found that I kept coming back to The Witness. Like, I'd play other games and then I'd just come back to The Witness and just hang out on the island and solve a few puzzles. And I think that's why it took me so long to complete the game. But when I did come back to it, I relished the time I spent on the island. When you made a breakthrough and when you sort of solved a new puzzle, you really got a eureka sort of moment. And time again. And I think that's what Jonathan was going for. He wanted to keep giving you that eureka moment. Now, as I said, you have to be quite patient with this game. I can imagine some people getting frustrated and resorting to using YouTube, cheating as it were. But I resisted doing that. Even when I got stuck on a few puzzles and I was like, how can you even do this? I resisted going on YouTube, and I implore you to do that as well, because it's kind of a slippery slope. As soon as you start doing that sort of thing, before you know it, every other puzzle you're going onto YouTube, and then you're not really going to get the full benefit of this game, because it really is about the journey, not the ending. It's about the process of working out those puzzles for yourself. That's really what it's all about. I'm actually quite chuffed that I managed to complete the game without going to YouTube, because some of the puzzles do get quite tricky towards the end. And a lot of the time when you are stuck, it's because you're not looking at it the right way. You need to take a step back and just take in the environment, look at it from different angles. Am I looking at this wrong? Is there another way of tackling this? And often that would give you that eureka moment, and you're like, oh yeah, of course. And then you think, why didn't I think of that before? One thing I really noticed was the architectural design. It's top notch. And actually, I think looking online, they actually got architects involved in doing the geometry for the game. And that really shows when you look at it, it does look, it's a lovely looking game. It's kind of got a futuristic designer look to the architecture. One nice little touch is because it's an island, there's actually a boat that you can get on and travel around the island. And you can actually go for a little trip on the boat all around the island. And of course, that's a good way of getting to place to place. As you discover new regions, you can actually activate a sort of little docking area in each region. I mean, you can't access all the island straight away with the boat. Even the boat, you control it with a panel, like the speed of the boat. So I love that consistency. When you get to the end of the game, you might think, is that it? Was that the ending? And it basically just takes you back to the start of the game, and you think, oh. And I noticed there was no credits as well. I was like, oh, that's a bit strange. And it just takes you back to takes you on a sort of magic ride back to the start. And then I thought, okay, I'll start a new game. Maybe something's different. It was. When I started a new game, because hopefully you've learned a few things, kind of connected with the monoliths, but if you've learned a few things, then you'll kind of, when you start the game, you'll notice something that will actually give you access to the sort of real ending of the game. And I was like, phew, thank goodness there's a real proper ending, because otherwise, yeah, that would have been a bit of a bummer, really. It's just a bit strange that you have to go through that process. Maybe Jonathan's trying to say, it's about the journey, not the ending. I'm not sure. It's kind of cool in a way, but I do worry that there's a lot of people out there that might have missed out on the real ending. This game really was a breath of fresh air for me. There's not many games that come along that are really kind of unique and feel really different. So I definitely hope that lots of people get to play this game. It's available in lots of different formats, so hopefully they will. Okay, so thanks for watching the review, and I really look forward to what Jonathan Blow does next. His games, I think, are always going to be interesting, and he's always trying to do something different and pushing the boundaries. It's so good with there's people in the game industry that are willing to do that. All the financial success of Braid, he kind of reinvested. I mean, it could have backfired massively. That takes some guts to do, so I've got total respect for him for doing that. And you might think that after that you'd be like, whoa, I don't want to take a chance like that again. What if it hadn't been as successful as it has? You might think he would burn out, like a lot of people do in the game industry, but it doesn't look like he has. You can go online and see what he's up to. He's got a YouTube channel, streams when he's coding and that sort of thing. And he's definitely working on a whole new sort of programming language that he's devised. He's working on something else, another puzzly type game by the looks of it. Really looking forward to finding out what that's all about. Okay, so thank you for watching, and goodbye.